Welcome. We'll be going over your Troubles with Tribbles activity. So I'll just be reading from here. Now, we'll start out with this. So, tribbles are animals that are small and brightly colored. They were recently discovered by scientists on a planet in another system, in another solar system, and geneticists have begun mapping their genome and deciphering how they pass on traits. So, these guys are just fictitious creatures with interesting inheritance problems based on some of the stuff that we've studied. Okay, I just need to. Okay. So here's the first problem. So a cross between a purebred black tribble and a purebred red tribble produces offspring that are all red in color. When two of these are crossed with one another to produce an F2 generation, most of them are red, but a few are black. All right, so we'll write this up here for number one. So starting over here, so a cross between a purebred black and a purebred red. So if we cross a purebred black and a purebred red, we get offspring in the F1 generation that are all red. So again, we've talked about the P, the F1, and the F2 generation in our studies before. So I'll just label that P and F1 so you see how that all relates. So this goes to the first question. What is the dominant character in these crosses? So if the red appears over the black, it must be the dominant character. So the thing that is dominant, or the character that is dominant, is red. So then, logically, that would then lead you to conclude that the characteristic that is recessive would be the other color, which is black. So there. But then it asks, what genotype and phenotype ratios would you expect in the F2 tribbles? So we have to do a Punnett square in order to get those ratios, but it's similar to what we have done already. So if this is a purebred red and this is a purebred black, it must mean that red is the dominant. So we can say that big R is for reds, and maybe we could say that little r is for black in this case. So here's our purebred red, here's our purebred black in the P generation, and then in the F1 generation, we can note that they are all heterozygous, so that's similar to Mendel's studies. And then, if we do cross them to get the F2 generation, we're just crossing two heterozygotes. So it would be big R, little r, cross with big R, little r. And so this is a cross that we've done numerous times. So I'll draw that Punnett square here. So here's the square, and we have the heterozygote reds and the heterozygote reds. Here's big R, big R, big R, little r, big R, little r, and little r, little r. So now if we go to the last question, and it asks for the genotypic ratio and the phenotypic ratio. The genotypic ratio, we have one big R, we have two of a heterozygotes, and we have one homozygous recessive. For the phenotypic ratio, these three are all red, whereas this one is black. So for the phenotypic ratio, that's 3:1. So that takes care of number one, and now we'll do number two. So for this next one, it says when a blue tribble is crossed with a yellow tribble, all the offspring are green in color. A closer examination reveals that the fur of the green tribbles is composed of a mixture of red and blue hairs. When the green tribbles are crossed, the offspring are 1/4 blue, 1/2 green, 1/4 blue. So an important detail to note here is that it's that a closer examination reveals that the fur of the green tribbles is composed of a mixture of blue and yellow hairs. So that's similar to what we were discussing when we were talking about the roan horses. The roan horses do have both red and white hairs, and so that was typical of a pattern of inheritance called codominance. You might remember me saying co-both show. So going to number 2. So here's number 2. What pattern of inheritance does this show? So this shows codominance. And it is codominance because the heterozygote has both of the alleles, but both of the alleles are able to show the presence. The blue is able to show its presence, and the yellow is able to show its presence. From a distance, it looks green, but upon closer examination, you see the individual blue hairs and the individual yellow hairs. So, because the heterozygote has both colors. So, then it says to show the cross between 2 green tribbles. So when we were talking about the horses, we were saying, so this is just kind of like something to the side. We did say that for the horses, 2 red alleles correlated with the red horse, 2 W alleles correlated with a white horse, but RW correlated with the horse that we call a roan, because it has both red hairs and white hairs. So we see that there's some blue tribbles that came in this cross, some yellow tribbles that came in this cross, but mostly green. So we can say that 2 Bs give us a blue tribble, 2 yellows give us the yellow tribble, but then 1 blue and 1 yellow allele, that will give us a green tribble. So in a way, very similar to the horse, it's just different alleles. And of course, it's in a fictitious character as well. So going back to the question, it then says show the cross between 2 green tribbles. So here is the genotype for a green tribble. So we'll set up the Punnett square, and a green tribble is 1 B allele and 1 Y allele, and then the other would be the same. So that's the genotype for a blue. Here's the genotype for green. Here's the genotype for green. And then there's the genotype for yellow. All right. So I'll just pause here and then add more.